The Whispering Woods. Deep in the heart of Willow Creek, a secluded forest renowned for its eerie beauty and whispered tales of the supernatural, a group of friends, Sarah, Ben, Alex, and Emily, decided to embark on a camping trip. The allure of the unknown, coupled with the promise of adventure, had drawn them to this enigmatic location. As they set up camp beneath a canopy of ancient trees, the air was thick with an unnatural stillness. The only sounds were the distant rustle of leaves and the occasional eerie snap of a twig. An unsettling feeling crept over the group, a sense that they were being watched. As night fell, the forest transformed into a shadowy realm. The friends huddled around the campfire, sharing stories to ward off the encroaching darkness. But their laughter soon turned to unease as strange noises began to echo through the woods. A mournful howl pierced the night air, followed by the distant sound of footsteps crunching on dry leaves. A cold wind swept through the camp, sending shivers down their spines. The fire flickered and danced, casting eerie shadows that seemed to take on sinister shapes. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the depths of the forest. Fear gripped the friends as they grabbed their flashlights and ventured into the unknown. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees forming a menacing canopy overhead. As they ventured deeper, the air grew heavy with an oppressive silence. Then they saw it. A figure stood motionless in the moonlight, its face obscured by shadows. As they approached, the figure turned, revealing a pair of glowing red eyes. A chilling shriek pierced the night, and the creature lunged at them, sending the friends scattering in terror. They fled back to their campsite, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they huddled together, shivering and trembling, they knew they would never forget the haunting night they spent in the Whispering Woods. The vanishing campsite. 4 friends, Raj, Mira, Kabir, and Anika set out for a weekend camping trip deep in the mountains. The area they chose was isolated, known only to seasoned hikers. However, a sense of unease sets in as night falls. The group hears strange noises from the forest, footsteps, low whispers, and the sound of branches breaking. As the hours pass, these unsettling sounds grow closer. Convinced it's an animal or fellow campers, they ignore it. But when Raj wakes up in the middle of the night to see all their belongings, tents, bags, and even the firewood neatly stacked by the edge of the forest, he realizes they aren't alone. The forest has an unnatural stillness to it, almost as if it's watching them. The friends decide to leave at dawn, but as the sun rises, they discover their friend Kabir is missing. After a frantic search, they find only his shoes near the riverbank. There are no footprints, no sign of a struggle, just an eerie silence. The group flees the forest, but Kabir is never seen again. The haunted cabin. A young couple, Sarah and a mate, book a secluded cabin in the woods for a quiet weekend getaway. They are warned by the local caretaker not to stay in the cabin at night, but they dismiss it as superstitious nonsense. The first night passes uneventfully, but strange occurrences begin the second evening. A mate hears someone knocking on the cabin door, but when he opens it, there's no one there. Sarah sees shadows darting across the walls, even though the cabin is locked from the inside. That night, the sound of someone walking upstairs becomes more frequent, even though there's only a single floor in the cabin. Sarah begins seeing a woman standing at the window, her long hair covering her face, while a mate feels cold spots in the room and is overcome with an intense sense of dread. As they attempt to leave the cabin the next morning, they realize their car won't start. Panic sets in as the figure at the window appears again, this time closer, her face finally visible, a gaunt, hollow expression with dark, sunken eyes. The couple flees on foot but is found hours later by the caretaker, wandering the woods in a daze, unable to explain what they experienced. The roadside hitchhiker. Deepak, a truck driver, recounts his chilling experience while driving on a long, desolate highway one rainy night. He had driven this route hundreds of times, but that night something felt different, almost sinister. The rain was heavier than usual, and visibility was nearly zero. About an hour into his drive, Deepak spots a woman in white standing by the side of the road, drenched, signaling for a ride. Against his better judgment, he stops the truck and offers her a lift. She silently gets in, her face pale, her eyes fixed forward, never speaking. After driving for about 15 minutes, Deepak tries to make conversation, but she remains silent. The temperature in the truck begins to drop rapidly, and he notices frost forming on the windows. Alarmed, he glances at the rearview mirror and sees the woman is no longer in the passenger seat but sitting directly behind him, staring blankly. Panicking, he looks back to the road, but the truck veers off course as his focus shifts. When he finally stops and turns around, the woman is gone. His door suddenly slams shut on its own. Deepak speeds away, leaving the eerie figure behind. The next day, he learns that a woman had died on that very stretch of road in a hit-and-run accident years earlier. Since then, many drivers have reported picking up a silent woman in white, only for her to disappear without a trace.